Welcome. It's Justin Paul from Worcester's Earth Sciences Department. Here are basic instructions on making thin sections in our labs. Like art, thin section techniques are best learned through practice. There's a handful of things you must know before starting. First, wear personal protective equipment such as safety goggles, ear protection, face mask, gloves, and apron while working. Second, ensure that there's enough water covering the pumps in the rock saw and lap wheels. Also, when using the rock saw or lap wheels, ensure that there's enough water lubricating the saw or wheels. Third, switch off all motors and pumps and clean each station after use. Let's get started. Use the Hillkiss thin section grinder to grind the glass slide so that the epoxy in billet will stick. Adjust the grinder arm by turning the knob on the left to set the dial indicator to 0. This process will ensure that the grinder arm clears the cup wheel. Switch on the motor and pump. Carefully touch one corner of a glass slide to the flat surface of the cup wheel for a second or two. This process will grind off some of the corner and let you orient the slide properly on the machine later. Wet the back of the slide and place it snugly against the ceramic plate of the grinder arm. While moving the grinder arm back and forth, turn the knob to advance the grinder arm towards the cup wheel until the glass slide begins to grind. Continue to advance the arm at a rate of about 1 micrometer increment per 5 passes of the arm past the cup wheel for about 20 micrometers. Note the number indicated by the micrometer scale after the slide is frosted. You will use this number as a reference position later. Check the slide to make sure that it is frosted over its entire surface. If it isn't, repeat until it is completely frosted. Rinse the slide with tap water and dry completely. Use the rock saw to cut a billet from your rock. The billet should be less than 2.5 centimeters wide, 4 centimeters long, and 2 centimeters thick. Compare the billet to a microscope slide to make sure that it fits. Label one side of the billet using a permanent marker. Polish the unlabeled side of the billet on the lap wheel. This process removes saw marks and creates a flat surface free from pits, scratches, and intergranular relief. Personally, I first polish all 6 sides of the billet using the 100 mesh wheel to produce a smooth and even rectangular block. I then choose one side of the billet to polish using the 45, 30, and 15 mesh wheels, starting with the coarsest grain. Rinse the billet with tap water. Set the hot plate to low and place the billet, polished side up, and the slide, frosted side up, on the plate for at least 30 minutes. Alternatively, you may set the billet, polished side up, and slide, frosted side up, on a 120 degrees Celsius or 250 degrees Fahrenheit oven for at least an hour. This process not only allows the billet and slide to dry completely, but also heats them up. Once the billet and slide have been dried completely, heated, and cooled slightly for handling, mix a small batch of Hillkiss A and B epoxy, 7 parts A to 3 parts B, with the spatula. The epoxy should turn white and cloudy. Use the spatula to spread a small amount of epoxy on the warm billet and slide. Put the glass slide onto the billet, epoxy sides together. Gently press the middle of the slide and work out all the bubbles in the epoxy. When the bubbles are gone, move the slide so that it is centered over the billet, with a larger space at one end for the sample number. Let the billet sit on the hot plate for a few hours, or off the hot plate for 24 hours to cure. Allow the mounted billet to cool to room temperature before trimming it. Use the Hillkiss thin section saw to cut off most of the billet. Turn on the motor and pump. Make sure that water is lubricating the blade. Slowly and with moderate and even pressure, move the arm toward the blade to cut off the billet. Ease off the pressure near the end of the cut. When the billet falls off, bring back the arm and remove the section. Refer to the number you wrote down on the micrometer scale when the slide was frosted. When grinding the thin section, you want to grind the section within 50 micrometers of this value. Wet the back of the slide and place it on the ceramic part of the grinder arm. Use the ground corner to orient the slide in the position in which it was originally frosted. Turn the knob to move the grinder arm until the section barely misses the wheel. Advance the grinder arm by turning the knob and moving the arm back and forth. Advance the arm at a rate of about 1 micrometer per 5 passes of the arm past the cup wheel. As you approach the final position, which is about 50 microns of the frosted slide position, remove the section from the arm, rinse it off, and check for the thickness of the section with a microscope. Importantly, check the corners of the section since these are ground faster than the middle. Continue to grind the section if it is too thick. As the section nears its final thickness, slow the advance of the arm to 0.5 micrometer increments. Eventually, you will find that one area of the section that is as thin as it should be. Remove the section from the machine and wash it off. It is ready to be ground by hand. On a glass plate, make a slurry with water and the 5.0 micron polishing powder. Put the section rock side down into the slurry, and while pressing on it with your fingers, move the section in figure eights to grind away the thickest parts. The places where you press the hardest will be the areas that grind away the fastest. Rinse the section with water and check its thickness at frequent intervals. Continue until the section has reached a constant, even thickness. On a different glass plate, make another slurry with water and a 3.0 micron polishing powder. Grind the section in a figure 8 motion to give the section a high, glossy polish. Be careful not to grind away your sample. Rinse the section with water and dry completely. If you have any questions, refer to the lab materials provided by your course instructor. When you feel unsure or uncomfortable using lab equipment, contact your professor or our technician Nick Wissenberg for help. Stay alert and follow safety protocols at all times. Thank you for watching, and we will see you next time.